The Galactic Council chamber was thick with tension as the xenoanthropologists presented their findings. Holographic displays flickered to life, showcasing humanity's tumultuous history, from primitive tribal conflicts to global wars that devastated entire continents. The council members watched in a mixture of fascination and horror as the images shifted, depicting the rapid technological advancements that had propelled the humans into the space age. These humans are a species of remarkable ingenuity and resilience, one of the xenoanthropologists, a Velteran elder, began solemnly. Their capacity for cooperation and innovation is matched only by their propensity for violence and aggression. They have repeatedly engaged in large-scale conflicts, often employing devastating weapons of mass destruction. The council members murmured among themselves, their tentacles twitching with unease. The Velteran continued, "What concerns us most is their drive for dominance, and their apparent lack of regard for the lives of other sentient beings. They have a history of subjugating and exploiting weaker civilizations, driven by an insatiable thirst for resources and power." Another xenoanthropologist, a Cygnin with luminescent skin, stepped forward. "Our observations indicate that the humans possess a remarkable capacity for adaptation and technological assimilation. They have demonstrated the ability to reverse engineer and improve upon advanced alien technologies at an astonishing rate. This, combined with their propensity for violence, makes them a potentially formidable adversary." The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Some of the delegates exchanged worried glances, while others sat rigidly, their expressions unreadable. Finally, the Galactic Council's presiding eminence, a towering Arcturian, raised a clawed hand to command attention. "The evidence presented here is deeply troubling. This human species poses a grave threat to the delicate balance of power in our galaxy. We must act swiftly and decisively to contain them before they disrupt the galactic order." Several delegates voiced their agreement, their voices rising in a cacophony of concern. The eminence raised a hand, silencing the chamber. "I propose we convene a special task force to monitor the humans and formulate a plan of action. We cannot afford to underestimate their capabilities or their potential for destruction." The council members nodded solemnly, their apprehension palpable. They knew that the emergence of this new species could irrevocably change the course of galactic history. The decision to intervene would not be an easy one, but the stakes were too high to ignore. As the meeting drew to a close, the eminence addressed the council one last time. "We must tread carefully, my fellow delegates. The humans are a formidable and unpredictable species. Any misstep on our part could provoke a devastating response. We must approach this challenge with utmost caution and strategic foresight." The delegates filed out of the chamber, their minds consumed by the dire warning they had just received. The future of the Galactic Council, and perhaps the galaxy itself, now hung in the balance, dependent on how they chose to confront the enigmatic and potentially destructive force known as humanity. The Galactic Council chamber was abuzz with heated debate as the delegates grappled with the implications of the intelligence gathered on the human species. Tensions ran high, with each alien race vying for the optimal course of action to safeguard their interests. The Velteran elder, still reeling from the gravity of the situation, addressed the council. "My fellow delegates, we cannot ignore the dire warnings presented in our previous meeting. These humans have demonstrated a proclivity for violence and conquest that threatens the very foundations of the galactic order. We must act swiftly to contain them before they disrupt the delicate balance of power." A younger Cygnin delegate, her luminescent skin pulsing with energy, countered the Velteran's argument. "But surely we cannot simply dismiss an entire species as a threat without fully understanding their motivations and capabilities. Perhaps there are diplomatic avenues we can explore, ways to engage with the humans and bring them into the fold of the Galactic Council." The eminence raised a clawed hand, silencing the debate. "The time for diplomacy may have passed. The evidence presented to us paints a disturbing picture of a species that values aggression and technological supremacy above all else. We cannot afford to take that risk." A Valorian delegate, his tentacles twitching with tension, spoke up. "I agree with the eminence. We must act decisively to protect our civilizations. Perhaps we should consider a preemptive strike, crippling the humans' technological capabilities before they have a chance to pose a true threat." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber, but not everyone was convinced. A Xendari representative, renowned for their pacifist leanings, stood and addressed the council. "Violence begets violence. If we respond to the humans with military force, we risk escalating the conflict and provoking an even greater backlash. Surely there must be a more diplomatic solution that avoids bloodshed." The eminence considered the Xendari's words carefully. Your concerns are valid, but we cannot ignore the potential dangers that the humans pose. Their history of aggression and technological innovation makes them a wild card that we cannot afford to ignore. We must take decisive action to safeguard our way of life. As the debate raged on, the delegates became increasingly polarized. Some argued for a show of force, while others advocated for a more cautious, diplomatic approach. The Galactic Council found itself at an impasse, unable to reach a consensus on the best course of action. Finally, the Eminence raised a hand, commanding the attention of the chamber. It is clear that we are divided on this matter. However, the stakes are too high for us to remain paralyzed by indecision. I propose we convene a special task force to further investigate the humans and develop a comprehensive strategy to deal with this threat. The delegates nodded, some with reluctance, others with a grim determination. They knew that the fate of the galactic order hung in the balance, and they could not afford to underestimate the humans or their potential for disruption. As the meeting adjourned, the Galactic Council members filed out, their minds consumed by the gravity of the situation. The emergence of the humans had sent shockwaves through the galaxy, and the Council now faced a pivotal decision that would shape the course of their future. Despite the Galactic Council's dire warnings and its internal divisions, a reckless alien faction, the Draconian Imperium, decided to make first contact with the humans. Driven by a thirst for conquest and a dismissive attitude towards the Council's concerns, the Draconians believed their advanced technology and military might would easily subjugate the primitive human species. The Draconian Overlord, a towering reptilian creature, convened his war council, outlining a bold plan to seize control of Earth and its resource-rich territories. The Galactic Council is weak and riddled with indecision, he hissed, his scales gleaming in the dim light of the command chamber. We will not be cowed by their pathetic warnings. The humans are nothing more than savages, ripe for the taking. His subordinates, a mix of seasoned military commanders and ambitious political figures, nodded in agreement. They were eager to prove their superiority and secure the Imperium's dominance in the galactic arena. Our fleets are ready to deploy, the Draconian Admiral announced, her forked tongue flicking with anticipation. We will strike swiftly, overwhelm the human defenses, and claim their world as our own. The Galactic Council will have no choice but to accept our conquest. The Overlord's lips curled into a predatory grin. Excellent. Prepare the invasion force. We shall demonstrate the true might of the Draconian Imperium and silence the humans' defiant cries forever. As the Draconian ships set a course for Earth, the humans, unaware of the impending threat, were embroiled in their own internal struggles. Decades of relative peace had lulled them into a false sense of security, and they were unprepared for the alien invasion that was about to shatter their world. However, the Draconians had underestimated the resourcefulness and resilience of the human species. When the first wave of alien ships reached the outer defenses of the solar system, the human defenders sprung into action, deploying their most advanced weaponry and employing innovative tactics to stall the invaders' advance. Caught off guard by the ferocity of the human resistance, the Draconian forces found themselves struggling to maintain their momentum. Their superior technology, once a source of confidence, was quickly being neutralized by the humans' ability to adapt and improvise. How is this possible? The Draconian Admiral roared, her frustration palpable as her ships sustained heavy casualties. We were promised an easy victory. Where is the weakness we were told to expect? The Overlord's brow furrowed in a rare display of uncertainty. The Galactic Council must have underestimated the humans' capabilities. We will not make the same mistake. Redouble our efforts and unleash the full might of the Imperium. As the battle raged on, the humans continued to defy the alien invaders, employing unconventional tactics and rapidly integrating captured Draconian technology into their own defenses. The Draconians, once so confident in their superiority, found themselves on the brink of defeat, their invasion force decimated by the tenacity and adaptability of their primitive adversaries. Realizing the futility of their conquest, the Draconian Overlord and his war council were faced with a difficult decision: to continue the assault and risk total annihilation, or to retreat and admit defeat before the Galactic Council. The fate of the Draconian Imperium now hung in the balance, a stark reminder that the humans were no mere savages to be conquered, but a formidable force to be reckoned with. The Galactic Council's dire warning had gone unheeded, and the Draconians were about to suffer the consequences of their hubris. As the Draconian invasion force struggled to maintain its foothold in the solar system, the human defenders, led by their most brilliant military strategists, unleashed a devastating counterattack. Leveraging their creativity and resourcefulness, They employed a series of innovative tactics that caught the alien invaders off guard. Foremost among the human defenders was General Alexis Petrov, a seasoned commander with a reputation for unconventional thinking. Recognizing the Draconians' technological superiority, Petrov ordered his troops to focus on guerrilla-style hit-and-run operations, targeting the aliens' supply lines and command centers. "We may be outgunned, but we have the advantage of adaptability," Petrov declared to his troops, his eyes fierce with determination. "The Draconians think they can simply overwhelm us with their firepower, but we'll show them the true power of human ingenuity." Under Petrov's leadership, the human forces launched a series of lightning-fast strikes, employing advanced stealth technologies and precision-guided munitions to cripple the Draconian war machine. The aliens, accustomed to overwhelming their opponents with sheer force, found themselves struggling to respond to the humans' unpredictable tactics. "How is this possible?" the Draconian admiral snarled, watching in dismay as her ships were systematically picked off by the elusive human forces. "Their primitive weapons should be no match for our superior technology." The Overlord's scales rippled with a mix of anger and confusion. "They are adapting far too quickly. We must find a way to break their will to fight, or we risk losing this battle entirely." Desperate to turn the tide, the Draconians resorted to indiscriminate bombardment of human population centers, hoping to demoralize the defenders and force their surrender. But the humans, driven by an unshakable determination to protect their homeworld, refused to back down. Instead, they utilized their rapidly advancing technological capabilities to develop countermeasures against the alien onslaught. Reverse engineering captured Draconian technology. The humans unveiled powerful new weapons and defensive systems that neutralized the invaders' technological advantages. "They are learning from us," the Draconian admiral cried in alarm, watching helplessly as her ships were picked off one by one. "This is not the outcome we were promised. We must retreat and regroup before it's too late." The Overlord, his jaws clenched in fury, reluctantly ordered the withdrawal of the Draconian forces. As the alien ships turned and fled the solar system, the human defenders erupted in a triumphant roar, their spirits buoyed by their unexpected victory. General Petrov, standing amidst the smoldering ruins of the battlefield, turned to his subordinates with a grim expression. "This is only the beginning. The Draconians will not give up so easily, and we must be prepared for their return. But today we have proven that the human spirit cannot be broken, no matter the odds." The news of the human success against the Draconian invasion soon reached the Galactic Council, sending shockwaves through the halls of power. The delegates, once dismissive of the primitive humans, now found themselves confronted with the undeniable truth. This was a species that refused to be conquered, one that possessed a remarkable capacity for adaptation and technological innovation. As the Draconian faction returned to the council battered and humbled, the Eminence regarded them with a mixture of sympathy and contempt. "You have learned a valuable lesson, my friends. The humans are not to be underestimated. We must tread carefully in our dealings with them, lest we suffer the same fate as your ill-fated invasion." The Galactic Council now faced a stark reality. The humans were a force to be reckoned with, a galactic power that demanded their respect and perhaps their fear. The Draconian Imperium's humiliating defeat at the hands of the human defenders sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council chambers. The Eminence and the other delegates watched with a mixture of awe and trepidation as the battered Draconian faction presented their report. "We underestimated the humans' capabilities," the Draconian Overlord admitted, his scales dulled with shame. "Their adaptability and technological prowess caught us off guard. We suffered heavy losses and were forced to retreat before our entire invasion force was annihilated." The Eminence leaned forward, his piercing gaze fixed on the Overlord. "And yet you persisted in your conquest, even after the Council's dire warnings. Your reckless actions have put the entire galactic order at risk." The Overlord's eyes narrowed, his claws flexing with barely contained fury. "We sought to secure a strategic foothold and demonstrate the Imperium's dominance. We could not have foreseen the tenacity and resourcefulness of the human defenders." A Segnan delegate, her luminescent skin pulsing with a faint glow, spoke up. "You were warned, Overlord. The Council presented ample evidence of the humans' propensity for violence and technological adaptation. Your decision to ignore our warnings has had grave consequences." The Overlord opened his mouth to retort, but the Eminence raised a clawed hand, silencing him. "Enough. The damage has been done, and we must now consider our next course of action." The Galactic Council chamber erupted in a heated debate, with delegates arguing passionately about how to respond to the human threat. Some advocated for immediate military intervention, while others argued for a more cautious, diplomatic approach. Amidst the din, a Xendari representative, his tentacles swaying gently, spoke up. Perhaps we have overlooked a critical aspect of this situation. The humans have shown remarkable resilience and adaptability in the face of adversity. If we approach them with open communication and a willingness to understand their motivations, we may find common ground and avoid further conflict. The eminence regarded the Xendari with a contemplative gaze. Your words carry merit, but the threat the humans pose is too great to ignore. We cannot afford to be lenient or to risk further provocation. The Overlord, sensing an opportunity, interjected. The eminence is right. The humans have proven themselves to be a grave threat to the galactic order. We must take decisive action to neutralize them before they can grow even stronger. The eminence considered the Overlord's words, then turned to the rest of the council. I propose we issue an ultimatum to the humans. They must either join the Galactic Council and submit to our authority, or face the full might of our combined forces. The delegates murmured in agreement, their expressions grim. They knew that such a move would be a gamble, but the stakes were too high to ignore the human threat any longer. As the meeting drew to a close, the eminence addressed the council one last time. We must tread carefully in our dealings with the humans. They have shown themselves to be a formidable adversary, and any misstep on our part could lead to catastrophic consequences. But we cannot afford to let them continue to defy the galactic order. The future of our civilizations depends on our ability to contain this threat. The delegates filed out of the chamber, their minds consumed by the gravity of the decision they had just made. The fate of the Galactic Council and the very balance of power in the galaxy now hung in the balance, dependent on how the humans would respond to their ultimatum. The Galactic Council's ultimatum to the humans echoed through the solar system, igniting a firestorm of debate and controversy. While some members of the council advocated for a decisive military intervention, others remained wary of provoking a catastrophic response from the resilient human defenders. On Earth, the leaders of the newly unified global government convened in an emergency session, their faces etched with determination. General Alexis Petrov, the hero of the Draconian invasion, stood before them, his expression grim. The Galactic Council has made their intentions clear, Petrov began, his voice carrying a weight of responsibility. They demand that we submit to their authority or face the consequences of their combined military might. But we have tasted victory, and we will not surrender our hard-won sovereignty without a fight. The assembled leaders murmured in agreement, their resolve hardening. They had witnessed the humans' ability to adapt and overcome the alien invaders, and they were unwilling to cede their independence to the Galactic Council. We have proven that we are a force to be reckoned with, Petrov continued, his eyes burning with conviction. The Draconians learned that lesson the hard way, and the Galactic Council would do well to heed our example. The leaders nodded, their expressions grim but determined. They knew that the stakes were higher than ever, but they were unwilling to back down in the face of the Galactic Council's ultimatum. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council chambers, the delegates engaged in a heated debate, their tentacles and claws gesturing emphatically as they argued over the appropriate course of action. The Eminence, his brow furrowed with concern, addressed the assembly. The humans have proven to be a far more formidable adversary than we anticipated. Their refusal to submit to our authority poses a grave threat to the stability of the galactic order. A Valorian delegate, his tentacles twitching with tension, spoke up. We must act decisively to bring them under our control. The combined military might of the Galactic Council will crush their resistance and bring them to heel. However, the Xendari representative, his voice calm and measured, offered a dissenting opinion. Crushing the humans with force may only serve to provoke an even more violent response. Have we considered the possibility of engaging them in diplomatic negotiations, seeking to understand their motivations and find common ground? The Eminence's expression darkened, his claws flexing with frustration. The time for diplomacy has passed. The humans have made their defiance clear, and we cannot afford to let them continue to defy the galactic order. The debate raged on, with the delegates becoming increasingly polarized. Some argued for a swift and decisive military strike, while others advocated for a more cautious diplomatic approach. The Galactic Council found itself at an impasse, unable to reach a consensus on the best course of action. Finally, the Eminence raised a clawed hand, silencing the chamber. It is clear that we are divided on this matter. However, the stakes are too high for us to remain paralyzed by indecision. I propose we convene a special task force to further investigate the humans and develop a comprehensive strategy to deal with this threat." The delegates nodded, some with reluctance, others with a grim determination. They knew that the future of the galactic order hung in the balance, and they could not afford to underestimate the humans or their potential for disruption. As the meeting adjourned, the Galactic Council members filed out, their minds consumed by the gravity of the situation. The fate of their civilizations now rested on their ability to confront the enigmatic and potentially destructive force known as humanity. Sensing the division within the Galactic Council, the human leadership on Earth seized the initiative. Emboldened by their victory against the Draconian Imperium, they resolved to take the fight to the heart of the alien coalition. General Alexis Petrov, the architect of the defense against the Draconian invasion, assembled his brightest military strategists and scientists. "The Galactic Council has issued their ultimatum, but we will not bow to their demands. It is time to show them the true extent of our capabilities." The human forces, equipped with a combination of advanced technology and reverse-engineered alien systems, launched a daring offensive. Their target, the Galactic Council's capital world, a heavily fortified hub of political and military power. As the human fleet breached the outer defenses of the Council's homeworld, the Eminence and the assembled delegates watched in a mixture of shock and horror. "How is this possible?" The Eminence roared, his claws slamming against the command console. "Their forces should not have penetrated our perimeter so easily." The Valorian delegate, his tentacles lashing with agitation, turned to the Eminence. "We underestimated the humans once again. Their adaptability and technological prowess have allowed them to overcome our defenses." The Exendary representative, his expression grave, spoke up. "We must act quickly to defend our homeworld, but we cannot risk provoking a further escalation of the conflict. The humans have shown a willingness to take the fight to our doorstep." The Eminence's eyes narrowed, his brow furrowed with a mix of anger and determination. "We have no choice but to confront them head-on. The stability of the galactic order is at stake. Mobilize our forces and prepare for battle." As the Galactic Council's defenses scrambled to repel the human onslaught, the human forces continued their relentless assault. Petrov's strategists had carefully analyzed the Council's infrastructure and identified key vulnerabilities, and they exploited these weaknesses with devastating precision. Explosions rocked the capital world as the human forces targeted critical command and control centers, crippling the Galactic Council's ability to coordinate a coherent defense. The alien delegates, once so confident in their technological superiority, found themselves on the brink of defeat, unable to mount an effective counterattack. Amid the chaos, the Draconian overlord, his scales still bearing the scars of his previous humiliation, addressed the Council. "I warned you that the humans could not be tamed. Now we face the consequences of our collective arrogance." The Eminence, his expression grim, turned to the Overlord. "You are not absolved of blame, Overlord. Your reckless actions set these events in motion. But we must now focus on the task at hand, repelling this human assault before it's too late." As the battle raged on, the human forces continued to dominate the skies, their adaptability and resourcefulness proving to be the deciding factor. The Galactic Council's defenses were crumbling, and the delegates realized that they were on the verge of a catastrophic defeat. Faced with the imminent collapse of their homeworld, the Eminence and the remaining delegates reluctantly sounded the retreat. The human forces, sensing the Council's surrender, held their fire, allowing the battered alien ships to limp away. General Petrov, standing amidst the smoking ruins of the Galactic Council's capital, addressed his troops with a grim expression. "The battle is won, but the war is far from over. The Galactic Council will not forget this humiliation, and they will surely seek to retaliate. We must remain vigilant and prepared for the challenges that lie ahead." The human victory had sent shockwaves through the galaxy, and the Galactic Council now faced a stark reality. The humans were a force to be reckoned with, a formidable adversary that had emerged from the brink of defeat to assert their dominance on the galactic stage. The Galactic Council, once a bastion of power and influence, now found itself in a state of disarray. The humans' bold assault on their capital world had shaken the very foundations of the alien coalition, leaving them scrambling to regroup and recover from the devastating blow. As the battered Galactic Council ships limped back to their respective homeworlds, the Eminence and the assembled delegates convened an emergency meeting, their expressions marked by a mixture of shock, anger, and trepidation. "We have underestimated the humans at every turn," the Eminence growled, his claws digging into the edge of the command console. "Their adaptability, their technological prowess, and their sheer tenacity have proven to be our undoing." The Valorian delegate, his tentacles still twitching with the remnants of the battle, spoke up. The humans have emerged as a formidable galactic power, one that commands respect and fear. We cannot afford to dismiss them as primitives any longer. The Xendari representative, his voice tinged with a rare display of concern, addressed the council. We must reconsider our approach. Confronting the humans with force has only served to provoke them further. Perhaps it is time to explore diplomatic channels and seek to understand their motivations and goals. The Eminence's gaze hardened, his piercing eyes sweeping across the assembled delegates. Diplomacy will not be enough to contain this threat. The humans have demonstrated their willingness to strike at the heart of the galactic order. We must devise a comprehensive strategy to neutralize them before they can disrupt the delicate balance of power in the galaxy. The Draconian overlord, his scales still bearing the scars of his previous defeat, interjected with a begrudging admission. The humans are no longer mere primitives to be conquered. They have shown themselves to be a force to be reckoned with, a species that will not be cowed by our might. The Eminence's gaze shifted to the overlord, his expression hardening. Your reckless actions set these events in motion, overlord. The Galactic Council would not be in this predicament if you had heeded our warnings. The overlord's eyes narrowed, his claws flexing with barely contained fury. And yet it is the humans who have emerged victorious. We must now face the consequences of our collective arrogance. The Eminence nodded, his expression grim. Indeed, the humans have proven themselves to be a force to be reckoned with, a galactic power that demands our full attention and respect. As the debate continued, the Galactic Council members found themselves at a crossroads. They could no longer ignore the human threat, nor could they afford to confront it with the same recklessness that had led to their previous defeat. Finally, the Eminence raised a clawed hand, silencing the chamber. It is clear that we must approach the human situation with the utmost care and strategic foresight. We will convene a special task force to develop a comprehensive plan to engage with this new and formidable power. The delegates nodded, their expressions grim but resolute. They knew that the future of the galactic order hung in the balance, and they could not afford to underestimate the humans or their potential for disruption. As the meeting adjourned, the Eminence addressed the council one last time. The humans have emerged as a guardian of their own destiny, a species that refuses to be subjugated. We must tread carefully in our dealings with them, for the cost of failure could be the unraveling of the galactic order itself. The Galactic Council members filed out of the chamber, their minds consumed by the gravity of the situation. The humans have proven themselves to be a force to be reckoned with, a galactic superpower that demanded respect and, perhaps, even fear.